building. I got Professor O in the building. Those 4 hour, 5 hour mock draft shows. It's that time. And so I am ready to get started. But since we're going to talk about that loss versus the 49ers, and this is my first show back, I had to call out some of the big dogs, man. This is the biggest dog that does some of this Dallas Cowboys content. He really doesn't need any introduction, man, but he's one of my favorite people to watch. I know a lot of you in the chat watch and support his channel as well. So CFO gang, let's give a warm welcome to the original, the OG, Law Nation in the building. What's going on, my guy?
Oh, man, all is well, man. I can't complain at all, man. Just taking it one day at a time, one movement at a time, and then, hey, we here. Off season, baby. We got to get it going one way or another, right?
The off season, unfortunately, man, but we are here. And salute to everyone in the chat. My guy, Professor O, thanks for the $5 holler. Law, have you recovered from that loss yet, man? How you feeling? Because I'm looking around, like I said, and here's the thing. I deleted apps. I didn't just take a step back. I deleted Twitter. I deleted Facebook. I deleted all the apps off my phone. So I was unaware of what's coming on. I came back Saturday night after the game, and I see pure chaos when it comes to Cowboys Nation. But, Law, how are you feeling personally?
I look at it like when you're shortcoming of a goal, right? You fight for something all year, and then you get to the end of it, and you drop it. You lose it, right? And I can't help but to think to it all and say, we just was not prepared. The prepared mind. That what gets everybody off of the anxiousness, right? It gets everybody off of the nervousness. But when you are prepared, nothing can get in the way. And I know that you finished college, right? Right. You got your degree. Yep. But before you got your degree, you had to finish middle school and high school. You just don't go straight to college. And what I'm trying to say is, Cowboy Nation, we made it straight to college, had to take the test. We wasn't prepared, and you get to shaking. You get nervous. The moment, the stage is too big. And that is what this game appears and it sounds like and it felt like. It just wasn't ready.
Yeah, lack of preparation. And I felt like my biggest disappointment, Law, is just I felt like this Cowboys team, seeing how they were made throughout the season, they would answer the bell. People were calling them soft.
Right.
Everyone was praising the 49ers as being this physical, tough team. You were kind of hearing Nick Bosa have these comments about our offensive line. I just thought they were going to step up and answer the call, and clearly they didn't. And, you know, we've spoken highly on my channel, I'm sure on your channel and others as well, as was Kellen Moore saving something? Like he had this magical plays that he had tucked away, and the offense was going to reemerge, because I feel like we were coming in from the standpoint, we knew what our defense was. We seen what they were able to do this season. But with the offense, we saw earlier in the first half, all right, what they can really be. Second half, not so much. But we were just hoping that this Cowboys offense would reemerge to the standard that we knew they were going to be. And even though we saw it versus Philadelphia, we thought going into the 49ers game, okay, they're clicking, Dak's in the rhythm, offense in the rhythm, defense is healthy. We have everything lined up. And it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. Now, you mentioned preparation, Law. So I'm going to ask you this magical question, because they jumped on me pretty hard yesterday.
Yeah.
Was that due to coaching? Do you think this team was not prepared?
And when you say preparation, we ain't talking about H, you know.
pH balance.
Yeah. You ain't talking about the balance of everything. I look at it like this. It's so hard to point the finger at one person, right? Now, with Mike McCarthy, I did listen to you retweeted what the playmaker said. Hey, you know, you just can't look at it like, okay, going into your third season, let's go ahead and fire this man, right? He didn't get a chance to showcase his full talent as a coach, because you got to keep in mind, Kellen Moore is here, you know, to say some of the same issues we had with the previous administration. They began to knock on the door. So what we don't want to do is emotionally act out. But we can clearly say to ourselves, time management is a negative draw with Mike McCarthy, right? Okay. We can also talk about, hey, the less assertiveness, you know, so not being able to stand up and stand tall and say, hey, he gave the speech. It was wonderful, but it was on the back end saying that, hey, I've been in playoff games before. I've been to the Super Bowl before. I've been in this moment before. But dog it, you got to showcase it. We can always talk it,
Right.
But you got to showcase that you've been there. You got to establish your presence in the locker room of saying, oh, I see you're a little nervous. Normally, you're not nervous. J-Ron, come here. Hey, Cedric Wilson, I know that you didn't think that you would be on this moment right here as the third option for the quarterback. But now you're the second option. One can argue you're the first option. I need for you to lock in. That is what a head coach and a leader is supposed to do. And on top of that, with the young offensive coordinator, if you see him got the kitchen on fire, don't just sit there and watch and say, oh, man, I'm going to see whether or not he can get the fire out. No, as the leader of this team, the head coach, you go over there and put that fire out and say, okay, we're going to regroup. Dak Prescott, you in the slump. Hey, we're going to do some easier option for you. Ezekiel Elliott, you're not capturing the edge. You're not getting the yards that we want. We love you. But, hey, there's a thing, and there's a reason why Corey got the most playoff experience. We're not going to bench you, but we're going to at least do a change of pace situation. That is what a leader's supposed to do. And I don't know if he stood in and said that, but we would expect from fans for him to do that.
Yeah. Salute to my guy Felix, man. He wanted a shout out. What's up, my guy Felix? Appreciate you for joining in, tuning in, Professor O's son.
Yeah.
But speaking of kids, so I feel like the same thing you just said, Law. Like if my son is upstairs cooking right now, I trust him to cook a little bit, but somebody needs to be watching him.
Watching him, right?
Like, and I felt like that's what the problem was when it comes to Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore was like, okay, you want to trust your offensive coordinator that he's going to do his job.
Right.
But like you said, the kitchen was burning a little bit. Somebody, whether it's McAdoo, whether like somebody really come put this fire out. And I feel like they gave him too much control. Now, playing devil's advocate, maybe Mike McCarthy, because he kind of has this pompous, arrogant, I won't say not, but attitude, I'll say.
Yeah.
That he maybe sat back and said, hey, this the guy you guys want to take my job?
Right.
Have at it. This is who y'all want? This is what y'all want? Okay, this is what you're going to get. And so, it's really hard to gauge what really happened, but we saw the same instances and the issues and deficiencies going on with this offense for so long that nobody really stepped in and fixed it.
Right.
We heard Amari Cooper come out and be vocal about getting more opportunity. They rested Tony Pollard for a full week versus Philadelphia. We kind of saw Zeke labor in the issues, but we saw these issues, but they wasn't addressed. And that's the frustrating part. If you from your couch, Law, can pick up on these tendencies and things, I from my couch in Kansas City can pick up on these things, why can't they pick up on it? And the frustrating part, Cowboys Nation, you sit back this past weekend, you see Jamar Chase getting opportunity after opportunity. You see Travis Kelce getting opportunity after, why can't our star players be involved offensively and let our superstars be stars in big moments? It was frustrating from what I saw out there on 2 Sundays ago against the San Francisco. And so now the question remains, Law, what's next?
Oh, well, you remember you said what's next. And shout out to Tyson James, man. My bad, I forgot to turn my AI off, and she got to talking. So if anybody heard any noise, it was my computer over there. But appreciate you for the donation there. Here's my thing. What's next for this team is real evaluation. Now it's the 3rd year. Now we did get a chance to see from year 1 to year 2 with Mike McCarthy some improvements, right? 12-5, I get it. We want to win the Super Bowl every year. I'm disappointed every year we don't win the Super Bowl. So, yes, it's been 27 to 26 years that I have been disappointed. But I can tell you guys right now, with Mike McCarthy, if some of the issues we see again from year 1 to year 2, from year 2 to year 3, then there's a problem. Then everyone is not lying. Something with Mike McCarthy, what his promise was, let me know if I got any reverb, I got echo on my end. But some of his promises was, hey, I do this, I do that, I bring this to the table, and we have yet to see that as it relates to being a competitive edge. Name me the game that you came into, J. Tuck, that you said, well, based and outside of our division, by the way, based off of coaching alone, we got the upper hand? Name me that game.
Outside division, I would say Minnesota. That was one, but unfortunately, it looks like Zimmer might be headed our way. So, but yeah, and I felt like going from Jason Garrett to Mike McCarthy, that was supposed to be the advantage, because I always felt like Jason Garrett would look across that sideline and see Mike McCarthy, and he would crumple. And so I just don't see Mike McCarthy having that same fear when we're playing some of these other teams, such as when they go to Denver, Kansas City, Las Vegas, when you had an interim head coach. And so, we really want to find the value. And here's the crazy thing. If y'all follow my channel since I started last year, y'all know I was out on Mike McCarthy almost like week 3,
Right.
But like you said, Law, I had to be patient and I had to recalibrate. But now Twitter got me as the defender of Mike McCarthy. I'm not saying that by any means. Where I'm saying we know he lacks in certain areas, whether it's time, management, and some of these other situations. But we had to give him the opportunity to build what he's trying to build. And I feel like he really hasn't had the opportunity. And I'll say this, the one thing that sold me and turned me around, honestly, when it comes to Mike McCarthy,
right,
as bad as our defense was last year, you had your homeboy in-house in Mike Nolan. You said, know what, bro? I got to let you go, which I'm sure was probably hard for Mike McCarthy. He let him go and brought in Dan Quinn. So the biggest grief that we had last year was fixing the defense. Well, they fixed the defense, but we got to see a lot more. And the one thing I also said when it comes to Mike McCarthy, where I think he's going to stay, but we have to keep a close eye on it. I don't see a real, and correct me if I'm wrong, Law, do you see a close connection between him and the quarterback and Dak Prescott?
I don't know. He said that he spoke glowingly of Dak Prescott. As far as the connection, right. I mean, if you want to say connection, Dak Prescott had a stronger connection with Jason Garrett, right? But I just look at it like this. I'm tired of the buddy system. Right. Regardless. And some people, a third of the people said, no, Mike McCarthy didn't fire Mike Nolan, right? That was a forced decision from the man above on this team, and that's Jerry Jones and probably John Stephen Jones. So I recall watching an interview with John Stephen Jones. I call him John Stephen Jones because his name is Stephen Jones, but I don't want to mess up and call him Stephen A. Smith. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I call him John Stephen Jones. That's his full government name. But the precipice of everything, as far as looking for a job or what have you, as far as coaching, they said from their mouth to our ears on 105.3 The Fan, shout out to them, is that they really wanted Dan Quinn, but he wasn't available. But Dan Quinn, it appears that even though our defense then moved from the 28th or the 29th ranked all the way now to the 11th, 12th respectfully, and then in certain categories, number 1 in turnovers or takeaways, and number 1 on third down defense, which is good. We may not have that for next season because it appears that Dan Quinn is going to either the Giants. He's from New Jersey. The Giants play in New Jersey.
Huge fan.
You're right. So, or he's going to the second interview to the Broncos. Now,
and I think there's another one for the Bears too.
For the Bears, yeah.
Yeah, he got a second one for the Bears.
I don't know about you, Jay Tuck.
Yeah.
But you ain't going over her house unless you're interested. She can call you all the time and say, "Hey, what's up?" But you might come over there one time. But if you come back for another one, something is tickling your something is tickling your fancy. So that is the reality. He is very interested in the Broncos for going to his second interview. And I don't know about you too, Jay Tuck. All I need is one interview, and I got the job.
Right. And I feel like when it comes to Dan Quinn, now it's just the leverage. All right, so I got the Broncos, I got the Bears, I got
money
my hometown favorites, the Giants.
Yeah.
All right, so they offering this. What are you offering? What can you do for me? How much leverage can I really get? So now it's just going to negotiation modes. I feel like one of those jobs is going to be offered. So if it's up to me, I know Professor O, you said you don't see Dan Quinn leaving. I think he's gone. He's already packed. He's already gone. He's already left. So, we're gonna have to fill these holes. We just lost McAdoo today. He's going to he's going to Carolina. Kellen Moore. The crazy part, y'all, after Kellen Moore's showing, he might be the only one that could possibly be returning, and that's the one Cowboys fans really want out the door. So, there's going to be a lot of changes, not only with some of the players, which we'll talk about here soon, but with our staff. You're hearing Joe Witt's name kind of come up and emerge in some conversations here and there. So, it might look entirely different. So you mentioned that Dan Quinn was upper hire, whether that was Steven or Jerry.
Right.
So for the next coaching decision, does Mike get to make that decision, or will it still rain down from up above?
It's going to come from up above, because everybody would – if Mike McCarthy said, hey, you know what? I'm going to bring back Mike Nolan.
Hey, give my buddy Mike Nolan some of these lines y'all got, man.
Yeah.
Get some of these lines, man.
Yeah, now the other thing would be, if Quinn is a smooth operator, he can really say, okay, well, Jerry, I got you by the short hairs now. He can really say, okay, Denver want me badly. The Giants really love me, and the Chicago Bears, they need me. So, I do like the kind that jingles, but I prefer the kind that folds. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna want some more money, baby." You know what I'm saying? But it's either that, or the queen of his Peace Corps. His lady, she could be like, "Look, I really like New York, or I really like Denver, or I really like Chicago." Right. So that's gonna be up to her too. Because you got to get the housing and the drapes and everything. You know how that goes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my guy Nick's had an interesting point. He said, I think Dan Quinn got a peek behind the curtain in Dallas for a season, which made him more willing to leave. Just my thoughts. Maybe this ain't all it's cracked up to be. It was cool. It got me back on my feet.
Yeah.
So you mentioned going back to that girl's house for this. So maybe this was kind of that slump buster, you know what I'm saying? So I get myself together. I just needed a place to stay for a little bit, but
just
now
just
for a little bit, but now, he's back out being a hot commodity. Maybe he's ready to move on. So, which is unfortunate, because I like Dan Quinn. I like what he brought to this team. You can see the team rally around him, especially defensively.
Right.
And here's what we also got to be cautious about, Cowboys Nation. If Dan Quinn leaves, we got 21 free agents. I need to take some of my people with me.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, J. Ron Curse, you like playing with Coach Quinn? Come on with your boy over here to Denver.
Right.
Come on with your boy, So it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a bumpy offseason, because we did all those 1-year deals, and now we leave it to, what's his name, John Stephen Jones, to replenish. Oh Lord, we leave it up to him to replenish his talent pool. And so hold on tight, Cowboys Nation. But what's your expectations? Because here's the hot topic button, and I said I wasn't going to address it, but I know Cowboys Nation feeds off of it.
Yeah.
And here's what I want to say, Cowboys Nation. Right now, season is over. You're emotional. Media is going to play with your emotions to the fullest. Keep your eyes on the hips, not the ball. But we're hearing conversations possibly about Sean Payton being the new head coach in Dallas, or there being some interest. What is your thoughts on that?
First and foremost, Sean Payton is still under contract with the New Orleans Saints, right? Mm-hmm. And if the Cowboys want to make a move, the Saints got to release him, or the Cowboys got to render those things which are cash for him, and that we're going to fall in the lines of draft picks. And I don't think that, Jerry Jones, and especially John Stephen Jones, the bloodline of this team, the blue bloodline of this team is the draft. He already came up. Remember before the start of the season, and I was wrong. I'll fall on the sword. I will fall on the sword, because I was the one saying that, hey, you want to build through the draft, but you still got to go get those guys from the free agency, right?
Right.
And I said, ain't no possible way Parsons is going to do all of the things that he did, right? And I'm glad that I'm wrong, by the way. And I said, ain't no possible way that you will have this and that and all of these rookies that played a remarkable job, right? And heading into the second year with Parsons and heading into the third year with Diggs now, we can grow and develop and build off of that. So I just look at it like this. This team, we got a lot of homework to do during this offseason, but that bloodline, the draft, is where John Stephen Jones going to really have to step in.
Right. Because we said it last year. We were laughing, doing all these mock draft shows. Like, oh, we ain't going to use all these picks.
Right.
Man, they used every last pick and traded back and got a few more. So it's like,
and they use them.
They love, there's two things that Stephen Jones loves, y'all: draft picks and cap space. So, is he going to be willing to give that
up for Sean Payton?
Right, for Sean Payton. Now, let me ask you this, Law. Would you? Because I posted this on Twitter, and this is where all the backlash came from. I don't see a big difference, just resume-wise, between Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy.
From a resume perspective, okay, let's break it down. Let's dissect it. They both had Hall of Famer quarterbacks, right? Yeah, look,
right.
As much as we can say this and that about Aaron Rodgers, he's going to the Hall of Fame, by the way.
Right.
And Drew Brees, he's going to the Hall of Fame, by the way. Mm-hmm. Both of these guys had terrible defenses, right? Can anybody disagree? It's funny now the Saints Look, Saints would have been in the Super Bowl this year if they had that. Look, y'all hear me out. They had that level of defense.
Right.
With Drew Brees. Oh my goodness, they would go to the Super Bowl if they had that level of defense. But
right.
I'm just looking at it like this, man. If you say they're the same, I think that Sean Payton, the big difference, can identify and can relate with Jerry Jones more than Mike McCarthy. I think that Sean Payton is more of a guy that's dealing with clock management. He's a little bit better. I think if he's dealing with internal personal issues, he's a little bit better. And we'll see a crispier offense because he will make sure that he works out with the quarterback and beyond. The reason why Sean Payton is so fluent with what he do, juxtaposed to Mike McCarthy, think about this. Drew Brees, as much as we glorify and uplift Drew Brees, remember he was in that dark place, that shadowy place, and he had to pick between the Dolphins and the Saints. And when he went over to the Saints, it was no more second guessing Drew Brees. Sean Payton got his act together.
Right. And see, that's my frustrating part when it comes to Mike McCarthy. I just don't see that connection between Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. And that's supposed to be Mike McCarthy's key to fame, right? He's a quarterback coach. He's an offensive guy. But we're just not seeing that impact when it comes to this Dallas Cowboys team as of yet. Every time you look on the sideline, you see Dak and Kellen, or Dak and the quarterback coach. And he's even mentioned it like, Kellen's my guy. Kellen's who I work with. That's who I'm watching film with. Well, why isn't it Mike McCarthy? So going back to one of my favorite movies in Office Space, Mike McCarthy, what does it just say that you do? And I think that's the question that a lot of Cowboys fans are. If you're not the play caller, you're not creating the plays, you're not making adjustments according, basically offensively, you're not working directly with the offensive quarterback. Like, what is it? You're not a time manager.
But you know what it is, though? I'm going to keep it 100. If Sean Payton lost his job, it wouldn't take him a year to find another one.
Now,
it wouldn't take him a year because Mike McCarthy, when he lost his job, nobody would pick him up but the Cowboys.
Well, he had interviews. He had interviews though.
Oh, yeah, correct me because I definitely didn't look into that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the Browns. The Panthers. I'm not sure what. So he dibbled and dabbled, but no one said, "Nah, you my guy. I'm picking you up off the street." Oh. And that's what really set my tweet off yesterday, because I said if he's fired today, he's hired tomorrow. I just think he will be coming off a 12-5 season. But maybe there's something with Mike McCarthy when it comes to NFL teams, which was my frustration last year, to be honest with you, Law. I feel like Jerry Jones was emotional moving on from Jason Garrett. And after he kind of did his
a quick
interview,
he did
with
it
Marvin
too quick.
Lewis.
Yeah,
it was just too quick. It was like, boom, that's my guy. It's like he broke up in a bad relationship and he fell in love with the first girl he saw on the dance floor. Like, make a few laps,
Yeah. And then wait, especially around 12, 1 o'clock. That's when that good drink start kicking in a little bit.
Jerry walked in and locked eyes and said, "You the one." I was like, "Nah, man." So I felt like it was a very quick hire. They should have maybe took their time. Yeah. But now since he's here, I just don't see the value in firing him and moving on, because my conversation is, if you fire him and move on, it has to be a Sean Payton type name, because if they do it, if they move on from Mike and they bring up Pizza Boy, Cowboys Nation, y'all thought today was toxic online. Woo, man.
If they hire Kellen Moore as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, here's the funniest thing of it all, though. I think that Kellen Moore got untapped potentials. I think that Kellen Moore is a brilliant guy. I think that the way he coach and the way he collect plays is beautiful. But what we're doing is, collectively speaking, it takes 4 years to even graduate from high school, right? Supposedly.
Right.
4 years to graduate from college. We already crowning this man in his third year as an offensive coordinator. We had to know that there would be growing pains. Just the same with Jason Garrett. People had to know that there was going to be growing pains. And what people failed to realize, the opportunity was missing and lost in 2007, 08. 08 was a dope team, by the way, and 09. Right. It just, the record didn't reflect it. But we had that growing pains, whether it be Jason Garrett just as the offensive coordinator and Wade Phillips, bouncing around through Dallas, it was still growing pains. And we had to go through that. And everybody don't understand that part of it. Now, with Jerry Jones hiring Mike McCarthy so quickly, if you go back and find one of my videos 10,000 videos ago, because I do all these videos, if you go find them, if you go find them, you'll literally say, I don't like the Rooney Rule because they brought in a coach Marvin Lewis, just to solidify the Rooney Rule, because they already had in their minds, their heart, that they was going to sign Mike McCarthy. They wasn't even thinking about the coach. They were just saying, okay, we're just going to do that coaching just to solidify the Rooney Rule. And that could be for the simple strength for Joe Witt Jr. too. He's getting interviews just to solidify the Rooney Rule. They really not point. Really,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they got to interview a minority candidate, and then they keep it moving. So my thing, if it's not genuine, and I ain't talking about genuine, because you're dancing and moving around. But the problem is what I'm thinking is this: you just didn't take your time. You should at least do the rule of two and brought in some good candidates, and that's how you properly would assess the situation. But now we're in this, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they went out for pizza and beers and had a conversation and chucked it up for a few nights. And boom, you're hot. I don't know. But I feel like, and I saw people saying this, I feel like Mike McCarthy was the hush hire because you could sell it to Cowboys fans.
Yep.
He won a Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay. And so Cowboys fans, we were all caught up like, that's going to be us. We're going to be the new Packers and seeing consistency. And then Mike McCarthy gets in that press conference, man, I ain't did none of that stuff I lied and told y'all that night. You know what I'm saying? So, they bought it. Let's see. Mike McCarthy wants to call his own plays. Well, I think Mike Fisher came out and said that I guess the conversation is Mike McCarthy said even if they do move on from Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator that they bring in will be the play caller. So maybe he wants to be hands off from play calling. So it's just like, I don't know.
That's how you secure your job, though.
Right. Yeah.
You don't want to cut your legs off from under your feet, because when you do that, you can say literally, hey, my hands are clean. I told these guys, delegation is the key to everything, Cowboy Nation. Right. And as a manager, one thing that I learned in business law is getting work done through others. If you look at any management squad out there, even if it's at Home Depot, Lowe's, Waffle House management, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, that manager, he makes sure that his staff is well fed and makes sure that his staff is there, right? And look, getting work done through others. Hey, what you mean that you're late? I'm going to have to write you up. Now I'm going to have to pull out the PIP. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this is what I do. I'm just going to sit back with my arms folded. But the problem is comfort never wins you anything. Comfort never get you anything far in life. You're going to have to roll those sleeves up. And when you see that that fire is spreading all through the kitchen, you're going to have to make sure you put the fire out, because at the end of the day, people are looking at you, the head coach, not calling timeout, or you burning through timeouts, or you untimely challenging a play when it don't need to be. All of those things going to still fall on you.
Yeah, I agree. Matto says the Cowboys were afraid the Giants were going to hire him. They requested an interview the day that he flew out to Dallas. So maybe that was the case. They felt some pressure coming in within the conference or with other teams. They say, you know what, we've got to get the job done. But I feel like he's going to be the coach. I feel like if they do replace him, y'all not going to like who they replace him with. And just prepare yourself, because here's what I was saying last year. Kellen Moore went out to Boise, college football. You're alumni there. You can pretty much be a king in Boise. You don't have to worry about any pressure, anything, right? But something pulled Kellen Moore back to Dallas. And so there might have been this backdoor conversation like, hey, bro, just be patient.
Be patient,
we going to make it work. Get him out of here. Just stay put, and we got you. But maybe now, Kellen Moore's itching to get out, so we'll definitely see. Now, I want to switch it from the coaching staff, Law.
Right.
Switch it to the players.
Right.
Because as bad as people want to put a lot of the ownership on the coaching staff, you got to put some responsibility on the players. So there's been this whole conversation about Amari Cooper. Jerry had some comments. You're kind of seeing Cooper's name circulate when it comes to Cowboys Nation. What is your thoughts of what you've seen from Cooper from production standpoint this season? And do you think that he'll be back on the roster next year?
I think that he should, that's the operative word, be back on the roster for next year. I love my guy, CeeDee Lamb, but it's just not ready for him yet if we're going to keep this same offensive coordinator, right? We like what we've seen from Michael Gallup, but he's going through that injury, so I don't know if you're going to pay for him to get back, and you got to pay for Cedric Wilson to get back, and Noah Brown, I think he's gone, right? If they do pay for him to come back, then that's another story. So when he made the statement that, Amari Cooper should take half of the field with him, I get it. There's things that you can always point out and say, all right, cool. But when you play defense, you play linebacker, right? Quarters, I don't care where you rotate it, they ain't moving. It's zone.
Right.
They're going to sit there and say, okay, all right, cool. You can move all the way you want. I'm just going to sit like a tree planted by the water. I shall not be moved. I'm going to go to my zone responsibilities.
And I'm going to sit here.
I'm going to sit, sit on the zone. And the linebackers cover the flats and the hook areas and the sidelines, what have you, or close to the sideline. That's the linebacker responsibility. And if you can't figure out or craft up a plan to defeat that, then that's a problem. But it's two folds to it. It's not just by him saying that, hey, Amari Cooper should take half of the field with him. It was the conversational piece to the media before that time frame. You remember he was saying that the wide receivers don't run the routes that they're supposed to in many of losses. And I'm not sitting there saying that he's trying to protect his investment out of Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott got his warts too. He's not what we're going to say unblemished. He got some blemishes on him as well.
Ooh, be careful with mentioning Dak today, Long.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Be careful, man. Hey. It's a touchy subject today, man.
We're going to talk a little bit about
I don't want no smoke for the Prescott today, bro.
Shout out to my homie Dez, though, and shout out to Tad Prescott, But when we talking about Amari Cooper, I think this is where this all come from. The aspect of utilizing Amari Cooper. I think that if you cut him, how much money you would save?
$20 million.
20 millions. That's a lot of money.
Million.
But if you only targeting that brother for 4 targets out of a game, average, his collective average. I ain't talking about what he had in 1 or 2 games. His collective average is 4 targets.
Right.
Somebody, look, I would be moving furniture if I'm paying $20 million for 4 targets.
Right.
Collectively speaking. Somebody.
And so let me ask you that, Law. Why do you think that is? I mean, because it wasn't like, I know they have this narrative, right? Coop disappears in big. Coop was clearly wanting the ball more. Now, is Coop as vocal as some other diva wide receivers? He's going to slam a helmet here and there? No, but why would you pay that amount of money for a wide receiver and only give him 4 targets on an average? Like, why? Because we looked at it from a film perspective, like what Coop, he was open. There's so much availability for him, but why do you think that is? They were not using this weapon you're paid for.
Because the system, the Matrix was one system, and now you got, I ain't gonna call him Scott Linehan. I'm not gonna call him Jason Garrett.
Little Linehan's what I'm calling
Little Linehan, you know. So put it like this. You said you had a son, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite sure that your son looks up to you, and he may disagree with some of the things that you do. Mm-hmm. But dog it, 3-4 years down the line, he get a little older and even bigger. They were like, man, that dude moved just like his daddy. That J Tuck Jr. right there. Yeah. That's Tuck all. That's got his daddy all over him. You know.
Yeah, that's what they call him, JJ.
JJ. So the exact same thing. You can't expect. When we talk about trees in general, and I ain't talking about the kind you roll up and blow. When you talking about trees, Kellen Moore is a derivative of Scott Linehan / Jason Garrett. If you was expecting something different, his fool and the egg is on you see? Because he can only go back to what's comfortable to him, is what he learned from his father and what his father taught him. You know what I'm saying? So right. Eventually, all we did on the Titanic, they just move furniture around on the deck. That's all we did. We replaced Jason Garrett with Mike McCarthy and kept the same system. Law, do you have any facts on that? Well, yes, I have facts on it, J Tuck. You know, I hate to speak to myself in third person, but I got to say this. The facts of the matter is the same song and dance that we're hearing now was the same song and dance that we heard in 2017. Think about this. And then they went on ahead and they did it. They cut Dez Bryant, ate some of that dead money, and they said, okay, we're going to go with wide receivers by committee. Who was that thought for him?
Stephen Jones and Scott Linehan.
Scott Linehan. Yep. In 2018, we started it off 3-5. We realized, hey, this wide receiver by committee, hey, you know, this stuff ain't really working. Then they pulled some resources, spent valuable assets as it relates to a draft pick to go pull Amari Cooper. We went on a run. The only game we lost on this spread was the first game was when we played against the Titans, I believe, and down the stretch when we lost to the Colts, who really showcased the blueprint.
Right.
But outside of that, everything worked. And even in my same talk track of that, Cooper's like, hey, I know what Scott Linehan is saying, but man, just throw it up, toss me the ball, give it to me.
Right.
I think he put up 255 yards in that game. I think Dak Prescott threw for 455 yards by just only targeting him. But that was a system. And then after that game, he disappeared because he was moved out of that system. That's all I'm saying. I hate to hog the mic, but I had to say
no, you're fine. Do your deal. Oh, no, do your thing. Do your thing. Preach, brother. Preach. Now, I want to say this. This is why I'm concerned, Law. And it kind of stimulates what we saw today, which we'll talk about here shortly. But you mentioned Jason Garrett. You mentioned Scott Linehan. You have Kellen Moore under that tree.
Right.
What tree is our quarterback brought up under?
He's brought up under the rudiments. You know, the rudiments of Jason Garrett.
Exactly. And so that's what scares me about this team moving forward is that Scott Linehan, Jason Garrett, Kellen Moore DNA is living in the veins of our quarterback, Dak Prescott. So when I mentioned, and I said the tweet before Dez even said it, I think what Dak needs is he needs a John Kitna or the other guy who I'm not going to say, just somebody to say, nah, step outside that DNA. They're telling you to do this. Nah, bro, that's not what you need to do. If they bring that safety down, you go to Coop every time. If they play off a Coop, you kill him. Punish him. But I just don't see who's going to give Dak that insight, that information right now. Because I said this. We've all worked jobs. We start a brand new job. We have the training manuals. We have the video tutorials. We have all that, right? What it really takes is that coworker who's been there for a while say, bro, you don't need to watch that video. Skip that video. This is what all you need to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you do, take your lunch, come back at this time. They really don't like you need that other perspective versus that corporate structure. And I feel like with Dak, he's getting it from Kellen, he's getting it from his quarterback coach. Now, what I would have liked to seen is your head coach take some of that Aaron Rodgers DNA and put it into your quarterback. Because I watched that game, and even though the 49ers won that game, soon as Josh Norman checked into that game, it was Devontae Adams on Josh Norman. I'm going to him regardless. Yeah. I don't care about the coverage. I don't care about the scheme. Your guy cannot cover my guy. And I just need some of that in Dak, where you not only have one guy they can't cover, you have two, and you actually have three. You have one-on-one coverage with Amari Cooper. There's playing seven yards off. Take that matchup. Trust your wide receivers. And so I think that's where we really need to get back when it comes to Dak, is breaking out of that system and just simplifying things. And someone just said it. Maybe Sean Payton would be that guy, and I think he would, but I still don't see that happening. But we'll see.
Well, you do know that, and I'm going to have to say this, and I'm going to jump off of it. And this is not, please, Cowboy Nation, don't shank me with the butter knife. Don't crucify me. Scott Linehan once said, the reason why I like Dak Prescott, when I call in the plays, he run them. Your guy, Tony, will get under the center. Down.
Kill.
White Eddie. Kill. Hut. And then you drop back, touchdown, Dak Prescott, touchdown, Dez Bryant. You know, right. So Dak Prescott, Scott would call that play in there, and then he would just run the play that was called. Now, granted, when you're not knowledgeable of the system and you're not understanding of everything, this is not a shade to Dak, but we all had to go through growing pains, right? Just call the play that I called to you, and you run the play that I tell you. And that year 2016 is always going to be earmarked, because that was the year that the efficiency level matched 2014's efficiency level, but it was like on steroids. If you think I'm lying, go back and watch the tape. So what happened is that when everybody was banging on the table, bring Tony back in, you know, he's the veteran, he's the guy that's seasoned, he's the polish. You know what I'm saying? He got all of the seasoning on it. But here's the thing. Tony lost the locker room, and I'm not dogging Tony. Go listen to Jeremy Mincy. He have a radio podcast, and he talked about it, right? And I think it was Jason Hatcher too. Both of those, Jason, whatever those guys' name, you know, they both talked about it. I think it was Jason Hatcher, by the way, not Mincy. But neither here nor there. If you go back and listen to what they said, Tony had his group of guys, Jason Witten, Sean Lee probably, and just him. Those three right there. He didn't really ingratiate himself with everybody.
Oh, Dak, those guys with those C's.
Yeah, guys with the C's. I think that's how it went. So Dak was already hanging and co-mingling with the people. And this is not me just making up stuff and pulling it out of the air. This is me telling the truth. And not just that. Go back to what I said earlier, Cowboy Nation. Scott Linehan said, when I call the plays, run the plays that I call. So Tony didn't have a room or a leg to stand on outside of his previous legacy with the Cowboys. So that issue will always be Tony versus Dak, because there's thousands of people that said, hey, if Tony Romo was in that playoff game, man, we would have won. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because of the experience.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's what led to the Dez comment, which I originally agreed with.
Go ahead and break it down.
Because I say this, if you go back to that 2014 game, Green Bay, Dez caught it, that takes fortitude, trust, and just going to the backyard. My guy is better than your guy. It's fourth down, game on the line. I'm going to Dez regardless. I just don't feel like Dak would ever make that throw. And I feel like
he would have hit Cole Beasley, because Beasley was wide open across the middle.
Yeah, Cole Beasley across the middle. Yeah, he would have just took that route against Cole Beasley. So that's the differences. And I just think if you give Dak some of that rogue renegade, because here's the hard part. He has a relationship with Kellen Moore, so you can't really buck the system, because that's my guy. I
Right.
trust my guy. He's been here, so like there's that trust factor. So I feel like once you break that piece and kind of give Dak some of that, because the talent is there, y'all. The arm strength is there. He can make the throws. Dak can do it. He just has to see it and believe it. And that's why I said I'm confident that Dak's going to reemerge next year. He just needs the proper training and just to be able to break off script a little bit. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
and he got to get that. Like when he was under Mullins, Dan Mullins, he wasn't a cupcake guy.
right,
He
right.
was hey, I feel what you're going through with your mom and everything. She passed away, but what can you do for me today? And when you think about all of those things, going into the first year of the season, 2016, it was new, and Dak. When I saw Dak in that Senior Bowl, I said, man, that guy, whatever team he goes to, he's going to make a change to that team. And I believe he did. The remarkable thing when Kitna got here, when he came into the house, Kitna knew how to reel everything in. He knew how to say, okay, all right, coaching never stops. Coaching is coaching through the game. There are some things that regardless, you can see in the first quarter and you can say, okay, I'm going to make these necessary changes in the third and the fourth. And we never had that necessary adjustments. I listened to, who was this guy? Gosh, it's the tip of my tongue. It could be Andy Reid or it could have been the 49ers coach. But they say they love to make their adjustments in the second half. And that's what it's
not sure. Probably either or. I'd probably say Shanahan. Probably
Shanahan. They make the necessary adjustments because they like to give you one look, and they give it to you again, but they use it in a different way. It goes back. You're a movie buff, right?
Yeah.
You remember Gladiator, the movie?
Absolutely.
Are you not entertained?
Actually, speaking of my youngest son, I just made him watch Gladiator this weekend, man.
You
got
met
him
him
up to speed. Yeah,
Yeah, you remember the king at the time, the guy he wanted to really sully Maximus, image because he was winning over the people, and his hand came to him and said, "Hey, there's this certain sea snake that lies on the bottom of the floor of the ocean, and he would expose himself." And other fishes would bite of it. He said he'll just take bites of it. And he will allow those fishes to eat on him. And they get comfortable enough. And then he turns around and he eats of the fish that was eating off of him. Sometimes you got to expose yourself, give in, so that the opposition can say, okay, we got him. We got him right where we want him. And it was all a trap. And what we see out of the Cowboys, there's never been that trap. There's never been that fortuitous type of thought track.
And we have preached this for weeks. We kept seeing his wide receiver screens fail time after time.
Right.
I just thought maybe in the playoffs you would see the pump fake, and then there goes CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. So I felt like they didn't do anything to set up anything throughout the season. Like there were so many opportunities there because all the corners, all the safeties, whether it was Buda Baker and the list goes on, they were jumping on that screen as soon as they went in that formation.
Right.
One, because you had damn Conor McGovern flexed out wide, so they kind of knew it was coming. But why not go into that formation, quick shoulder pump, and then you're off to the races. And so that's the frustrating part when it comes to Kellen Moore.
Right.
He's supposed to be the play creator, the innovator, the new young mind. We saw it sparingly in situations where we didn't need it. Like me personally, Law, when he ran that touchdown play to Terrence Steele versus Washington, why do we waste that? Stuff. Why waste that here? We're up by 40 damn points. Keep that in your back pocket. We could have used that versus San Francisco, but it is what it is. So, I feel like Dak's going to be back on track, but I feel like you're going to see some changes when it comes to his offense. Me personally, I feel like we do need to keep Amari Cooper because, like you said, Gallup coming off that injury, we might not see Gallups in mid-October, November. Now there are some new mutant genetics because Cam Akers came back off the field, so I don't know what's going on, but I feel like Michael Gallup's going to be out, but I feel like Cooper and CeeDee give us the best opportunity to win together. But when money gets involved, then you got them Joneses. And stay tuned, Cowboys Nation. So speaking of free agency law, we got 21 free agents, and we're not going to go down to the list.
Right.
You got one. Who's the main guy? Who's top of your priority list?
From a sit down and have a conversation with Randy Gregory, he's the creme de la creme on this list. And then, of course, you got to go with J-Ron, Curse, those two guys right there. And then for a kicker, you got to look at the punt kicker. You got to look at him and say, hey, Anger, hey, man, dog, you second team All-Pro, and we need that change of field positionings. And I think that those two guys, if you want to look at Gallup and Cedric Wilson, you got to look at it like this. I like what both of those guys bring to the table. Mm-hmm. But I got CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. Mm-hmm. You can't – look, I get it. You want to have all of the weapons, and you want to say to yourself, I want to hit all of my targets. But less is more at this point. Focus in on two. Mm-hmm. And there's a wild card out of the free agent list. You have to say to yourself and have that small conversation with Schultz and say, hey, we like what you bring to the table, but we're going to have to get a discount because we already got Jarwin. Somehow, not saying it in those exact words, but you got to
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think I kind of have it reversed, though. I think that J-Ron Curse needs to be the number one priority in Dallas for coming back over Randy Gregory, just for the simple fact he does so much, right? We mentioned that he was the green dot guy, so he's impacting at all three levels off the line of scrimmage, whether it's covering your tight ends. And we saw yesterday, you need someone to cover your tight ends and also playing deep in the safety. So I feel like J-Ron Curse needs to be the priority,
right?
And then Randy Gregory. But I feel like when it comes to Randy Gregory, it depends on the price tag because we know those edge rushers, the money talks a little bit different, Law. So that's the thing, I mean, we've been loyal. Randy Gregory, if you're listening, bro, we've been hella loyal to you, bro. We just sent you a gift basket and everything with your favorite snacks and wines and everything after your surgery. You gotta cut us a deal, man. You got to cut us a deal.
Man, come on.
Look out for you, boy. So like I feel like that's gonna be the conversation when it comes to Randy Gregory, but he might be like, bing bong, I want my money. And I feel like Stephen Jones is not going to pay that price, that 16, 17.
And that is even the franchise tag. So you can't even tag him. It's going to be 17, 18, right around that number there. So you can't tag him. So you just hope that goodie bag that they send him another goodie bag.
Yeah. What was really in those goodie bags? What kind of cookies y'all sent? What was in those cookies, man? I don't know. And then when it comes
I ain't going to hit that button. Nah. Shout out to Randy Gregory. Shout out to your pops, man. He watched the show, man. I ain't going to hit that button this time.
Hey, salute to Randy Gregory, man. I love Randy Gregory, man. What he definitely brought to this team this year. Dalton Schultz is an interesting conversation, though. You do have Blake Jarwin coming back. I know they kind of like what they saw in McKinnon, but we're going to talk about draft content on this channel. I got a few tight ends that we gonna introduce y'all to, Cowboys Nation. So I think Dalton Schultz walks. Michael Gallup, interesting conversation. Maybe they can work something out. Now, James Slater had came and reported that Michael Gallup likes being in Dallas. Like, he loves being a Cowboy. He likes it. So maybe he might take a 1-year deal due to the injury, come back and maybe try to get his bag next year. So, because the value is not going to be as high, especially coming off of 2 injuries in one season with Michael Gallup. He really didn't produce the way he did, but he did show flashes when he was out there, what he's capable of doing. So you also got to take that in consideration. And also another guy that I would like to bring back, honestly, is Brent Urban. And I know he had the injury, but when Urban was out there, I feel like he's a great value add we can bring back. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that works. Now, Law, I don't want to keep you too long because you're a very, very busy man. We talked about free agency. What's your primary draft need that you think the Dallas Cowboys need to address with their first-round pick at 24?
Oh, my gosh.
Jose, my God. Jose Christian. Let me go drop a bomb for Jose. Wandale Robinson, my guy out of Kentucky. You already on it. We got film coming soon on Wandale, so definitely stay tuned for that, man. But yeah, we here, Jose. We here.
Yeah. Let me give a shout out to 24/7 Cowboy and Young Wilson and who else? James Tyson again, and I think Cowboys Sports Report in charge by Charles. Thank you everybody for you giving your donations there. Yeah. I appreciate it. Priority. Priority in draft. It got to be offensive line, and we got to look at it like the game is won and lost in the trenches. But before we go down this road, as my old folks say down here in Mississippi, where I'm from, we going to have to address the offensive coordinator. Scheme plays a major role and determine whether or not you're going to pull guards or you're going to stand and be a pass-happy team. All of those things play a major role. So I hope that whatever the Cowboys do, that they already have that solidified before the draft kickoff. And I'm normally a defensive guy. I love defense. I don't like defense. I love it. But I want the Cowboys to do these things in the draft. Solidify this offensive line. We need help with the front four on the defensive line. And we for dog sure, need a safety. Those are my three elements. And for all of the people that's out there thinking that you should draft a quarterback every year, kick the can over on a quarterback every year. It don't matter to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you want to draft a quarterback every year, draft the quarterback every year. But those are my areas of concerns. Offensive line, defensive line.
Offensive line. So let me ask you this, because I'm with you with the offensive line. I feel like that needs to address specifically the guard position, left guard. We saw the Connor McGovern experiment. Conor Williams would be one of those guys who was out. Not N'Kobe Dean's a linebacker, but Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M was a guy that I'm high on at that 24 slot. So stay tuned for more draft content. But do you think that the Cowboys will move on from Philman as their offensive line coach? I heard conversations maybe about Mark Colombo possibly could return. Do you think that we need to make a change in the offensive line coach, or do you think just with all the different adjustments, there was never just offensive line could never get the continuity that they needed this year?
I went from praising Joe Philbin to looking at Joe Philbin like, hey, what was that?
Right.
A double.
We gave a lot of flowers last year.
We gave a lot of flowers.
Okay, not bad, buddy. But this year it's like,
I just like people who stick to their guns. A double-minded person is wicked in all their ways. If Terrence Steele was your guy, then you stand on the tallest table in that locker room and you say, hey, we fighting. Terrence Steele is my guy. We were 6-1 when we had him in the lineup. I'm not finna go to the playoff without him. I know that he regressed in certain things, but that's because we moving him around like musical chairs. I want a coach that's not afraid to challenge, the people that's out there. When they move and they kicked Conor McGovern at left guard, we was all saying, hey, he don't play left guard. He's naturally a right guard, right? Or a center, if anything. But, we let them do that. And the Conor Williams, there was pretty much no disciplinary action for his holds. So that was a cause to pause. That was a situation where his coaching is supposed to be able to iron out those things. And what we've seen in the playoff, everything magnifies itself. Every little doubt that you had during the regular season, it got
magnified.
It gets bigger, and it wears and it leans on your shoulder. If anything, did you watch that game last night? The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Bills.
Yeah.
And I know you in Kansas, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm again. Oh man, it's been at work all day. Oh, and here's what I say about Chiefs fans. They're all of them probably watching my show. They took our slogan, Cowboys Nation, and they remixed it. We say, "How about them Cowboys?" They say, "How about those Chiefs?" And I've been hearing it.
Oh my gosh.
It's hard. Because everyone's like, "You should just cheer for the local team." Like, okay, but
the thing is with them, and shout out to them.
Yeah,
you didn't see. They earned it. Both teams, all of the games that we've seen, we didn't see a flag fest. And you can get into the rhythm as a fan watching it, because not every big play you say, "Oh, where's the flag?"
Right.
And you can see, okay, yeah, good quarterback play, yeah, but I just believe that this team, we just got to get some things going and stop playing political football and get the good players out there.
And that was the frustrating part, because I know a lot of people, they pinpoint Conor Williams, for the penalties. But man, like if you go back and watch that 49ers game, and yes, y'all, I finally punished myself and did that. I mean, Tyron Smith was getting Zach, like they all got a piece of it, so it was across the board, but it needs to be cleaned up, and it goes back to coaching, fundamentals, techniques, but also have the strength where you're not getting bullied back, fighting for your damn life on the offensive line. So I think there does need to be some adjustments. I think it does start with coaching. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in an offensive line coach.
Let me say this, not to cut you off, J Tuck. Can you hold your hand up right quick? Have you ever slammed one of your hands in the door or sprang one of them?
Oh yeah.
It affects all of them. All five. Right. You can't even ball your fist to punch me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you had a broken pinky or a thumb, a ring finger,
right.
You could be like, hey, Lon, wait the next time we fight. I got you. Wait till my hand heal.
Right.
So the offensive line, it's just like this. Tyron, he might have been a big thumb, but he's worried about this right here. He worry about it. He's worrying about Conor Williams. So in the back of his mind, am I widening too late? You know what I'm saying? My kick slide is not on point. Oh, the center, which is where the meat is at. I like using references as relates to movies. Jurassic Park. And we know, I think it was part 2 when they wanted to drop the people off. They said, hey, be careful. Because in the center of the island, that's where your big boys at, your big dinosaurs at. And that's where the weakest part at on this offensive front five. Your center. Every time you pull up that tape, and I know you see Tyler Biotis. Yeah, you getting picked up. And they said, okay, well, you want to be on the left side of Dak Prescott lap or the right? Where are we going to put you?
Right.
And then Conor Williams, we already know fast. I love it when they pull him. I love some of his traits. He's got quick release. He can jab you inside so good. Good feet. Good feet can't bust through a wet paper bag.
Right.
Man, Armstead grabbed him and said, all right, rocky my baby to the treetop. And he just moved him out the way. It was a physical man-to-man fight. And I was telling everybody, man, if I'm getting into a fight, there's no way Terrence Steele is the getaway driver. No way. No way. You should have had Terrence Steele out there. And, of course, Zach Martin, although he's first-team All-Pro. But this year, you've seen him too many times on the ground. Let me know if I'm lying. You look at the tape.
I'm lying.
Yeah, he trying to worry about that center. Oh, he said, God dog, this ain't Travis Frederick no more. They went to the same school, but they don't get the same pedigree.
What is this? Yeah, what is this? And yeah, Professor I said the same thing because there was conversations, on Twitter everywhere. Conor Williams, he holds too much. There was this conversation at right tackle. Me personally, I was like, is nobody looking at this center position? And here's the thing when it comes to the center position, I know they had concerns way back when we were out in Oxnard Law because they tried to experiment with Conor Williams and McGovern at center, but they couldn't snap. And so I really think what happened, y'all, they really, and Kellen Moore had said this in the interview when we were out there in Oxnard, they were expecting to sign Joe Looney, and it kind of just fell to the cracks. The Giants came back the next day, swiped them up. And Joe Looney said, nah, bro, I'm not playing for y'all. I'm retiring, but I'll do mid-year for the Cowboys. And so I feel like once that fell to the cracks, they really had no backup plan for the center, the left guard position, and we really got hurt in the interior. It's a chain. And to break that center in the field, it really changed. So, yeah, I want a center. I want a guard. I want some competition there just to sturdy that back up because the Cowboys been living off of names for so long. And here's my motto coming to 2022, Law. Production and ball over names. I don't care about the names anymore. Are you actually producing and living up to the expectation? Because I think that's where Cowboys fans get caught up. It's Tyron Smith. It's Tyron, he's the left tackle.
So you saying, if I'm hearing correctly, so you buying into the Kellen Moore theory, Dad, It ain't about your name, Amari Cooper. It ain't about where you was drafted at, CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to pass the ball to Cedric Wilson. I'm going to drop a play for see, that's where it come from. I ain't calling you a beta male. I ain't calling you a beta male, but I'm just calling out a spade.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that from a production standpoint, though. But I know that Coop can produce. I know CeeDee Lamb's a 1,000-yard wide receiver. So it ain't the issue, but I feel like a lot of Cowboys fans just get caught up in the names.
We do.
And realize our offensive line is not the great wall anymore. Like they're
Yeah.
far removed from that. And
Yeah.
so I feel like we need to get back to that. If
Right.
you
Right.
find you a left tackle that might be better than Tyron Smith and performing a lot better, then move on with it, So here we are. But I feel like Tyron, he played decent, but he
Yeah.
was a liability in a lot of instances this year. But the offensive line, and I think that's what led to some of the downfall we saw from the offense, especially the run game. So Cowboys. Yeah, he got me. He tricked me. He
I
tried to
got
make
you.
me. He tried to make me a Kellen Moore guy. Little hand guy. Nah,
Hey,
man.
hey, I got a super chat over here from Jay Reese. He says, do you still believe in Dak Prescott, J Tuck?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
Me too.
1,000%,
Me too.
1,000%. A lot of people probably still message me on Twitter because I said that. It's like I still believe in Dak Prescott. What we saw last night was amazing from Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. But I feel like our quarterback is just as capable. He just has to have his moment. And I feel like when it comes to Dak, it's like always close moments. Once he gets that moment, we're going to get off over the hump. If I knew Dak wasn't the guy, trust me, y'all, I would be vocal about it. But I believe in Dak Prescott. I believe he's going to figure everything out and get back on track. Now, here's what y'all have to prepare yourself for, Cowboys Nation. I don't want to give y'all a spoiler alert, but the offense gets back on track and the defense falls off a cliff next year. That's what I'm worried about. 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 That's what I'm
Cowboy
worried
Nation
about.
never had two things done.
We can't.
Peanut butter, no jelly.
Yeah, and I said that last all season. I'm like, watch this defense completely flip and our offense but I didn't think that was going to really happen. But yeah, we can never have two things at once. And we saw what the Bills had. They had their offense, they had their quarterback, everything was in sync, and they also had their defense. So it's like, we really got to put it together, Cowboys Nation. But yeah, I 1,000% still believe in Dak Prescott. I'm not jumping off the board yet.
Let me ask you this, then. Let me ask you this, then. Do you believe in Ezekiel Elijah Elliott? Now be caution. Mama Zeke, we love you. I know she follow your platform. She follow this channel. Shout out to Mama Zeke.
Yeah, I believe in Zeke, but used in a different capacity. Like, I don't think the 2016 Zeke is ever going to return. But I mean, he still had 1,000 yards. Now, if he's still limping and gimping, because I say this, you go back to the beginning of the season, Ezekiel Elliott coming out of camp was looking great. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like once that injury happened, and I hate that Mike McCarthy came out and said, yeah, Zeke's been battling. Oh, yeah, we couldn't tell Zeke was been battling an injury. Yeah, we knew that,
man.
bro.
That hurt, man.
Yeah, like, come on, bro. We knew that. But I felt like if Zeke can get back to what he was earlier in the season, then he can be a 10 or 1,000-yard rusher, 1,100-yard rusher. We just got to get him the ball. But also, I think you want to bring in Tony Pollard as well and utilize him a lot more. Like, I see Deebo Samuels and some of these other players being used in so many different ways. I want to see Tony Pollard used in that same manner. But how many offseasons can we go through, Law, where we're saying use him as a wide receiver, give him more touches? I just don't know. But I think that Zeke will never be what we were accustomed of, but he still can have great impact in this offense.
Now, I don't mean to throw any salt or shade, but when you saw Cam Akers laid out on that ground, did you ever think that he would get back to the way he was before? And did you see what he ran, like the explosiveness? Right. And there goes to show you that there's a difference between allowing your body to be healed and rehab the proper way than to play and continue to play on the injury. I see people all the time, these young thugs out here, not the rapper, but the young thugs with these big old rims, and they fool around and get a flat. Some of them don't even know how to change a flat. Some of them don't even know how to do other things, but they keep rolling.
The maintenance.
They keep rolling without changing that tire out and rolling on the rim, and they warp the rim or what have you. And I said, dog, all you had to do, man, is just change. And he said, man, I didn't know how. I thought I could just take it 30 miles to the nearest, blah, blah, blah. I said, dog, that rim is done. And then you see them that they didn't have their priorities in order. This is where, when I go back to Jackson, Mississippi, you know what I'm saying, seeing these guys with these rims and they have the one donut, 3 rims with one donut because of their priority was wrong, right?
Right.
And I said, dog, why you rolling around the donut? You man, I warped my rim, man, because I tried to make it to the lot. I said, dude, your priorities are wrong. And the Cowboys sullied Ezekiel Elliott by allowing him to play on that injury, that PCL tear. I call it coaching malpractice. Yeah. Right. You got Tony Pollard, who was averaging. People fail to realize, he's finished the season with 5.5, but at the time, bro, he was averaging 7.3 yards per tote. Right. So easily, I would have looked Ezekiel Elliott in his eyes and say, man, I can see the pain, I can see the passion. Both P's are good, but man, we need you. We need you for the playoffs to be healthy.
So let me ask you this, Law, because this is the question I ask, because we all clearly saw it early. Why do you think they were so cautious with other players, making sure they were fully healthy from return, like Michael Gallup with the calf and DeMarcus Lawrence and even Dak Prescott with the shoulder in the offseason? But when it came to Zeke, they were so kamikaze with it, where they just let him be out there and be reckless with it. Like, I just don't understand the mindset. You had Corey Clement. You could have gave Hart. Like, that whole month of December when we were playing the Giants and the Washington, and like, that could have been rest games for Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. Like, if we couldn't win those games without Zeke, then we wasn't who we thought we was in the first damn place. So I don't know why the staff was so kamikaze with Zeke and being reckless and not letting him rest in the playoffs. But then again, we didn't use him in the playoffs any damn way. So what's the point? You know what I'm saying? So
it was like mute point. Well, let me just break this down like a fraction. You may have to pull out your pens and tablets, Cowboy Nation. You see, there's a quarterback that's getting paid $160 million, right? Mm-hmm. $75 million of that is guaranteed. No. 122, something like that is guaranteed. $75 million is what he got as signing bonus. And the last thing that you want is your millions of quarterbacks, you know what I'm saying, dollar quarterback, to get laid out like Family Guy because somebody missed the blitz. Law, do you have any reference points to that? Well, if you go back to 2015, if you go all the way back to 2015, there was a certain quarterback by the name of Tony Romo that year we started off on high praise, high hopes. But, dog it, there was this one running back that wore 21 at the time, you know what I'm saying, who whiffed on a block, couldn't block nothing.
Salute to he's from the house, man.
We couldn't block nothing. And Hicks came through and then folded my guy Tony Romo up like a pretzel. And he was out for the season to be damned. I think that in the hearts of hearts, they know. Now, I'm not dogging Tony Pollard's blocking ability, but it's not like Zeke. It's not like it. So the Cowboys played that thing out and said, look, this is supposed to be in the year. This team, let's look at everything around this team. Mm-hmm. This is supposed to be the year. And we can't, look, Zeke, are you good to go? Yes. You're a soldier. You're a warrior. Don't let none of this leak out. Let's get out there. Let's whoop some butt. You know, we still went on a 6-1 run with Ezekiel Elliott. Let's not get it twisted.
Right.
But it wasn't the same after that Panthers game. I was running around said, the path of the righteous man is to be set on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil man.
You saw
216 pounds.
You saw his training cutting in and out of trash cans. You saw that translate from preseason into the season earlier, and then it was just like, we saw the injury, you know, since I know that other teams picked up on it. It was like,
No, but see, we internalized it like, dang, Zeke. I didn't know that he was injured with a PCL. I just said that.
Yeah, so we didn't know the definition of it, but we knew there was some type of injury.
Right, you know? We knew something, you know.
Yeah, something just wasn't right because the burst, the quickness, the speed, the agility, everything just changed. Like, it changed just like that after that Panthers game. So, you know, maybe that was the reason that they just needed him for pass protection.
Yeah, pass protection.
To gut it out, but
in a little political
I felt like
football.
It hurt.
Yep.
I felt like it hurt, but it's like, hey, they wasn't gonna give him the damn ball anyway. So it's like, it's like, hey, I can tell because week 1 versus Tampa, he was fully healthy, ready to go. And I looked up at that scoreboard and said, Zeke got 6 carries and a half. What is going on? You know.
But although we didn't blow out the Chargers, but the way If y'all just go back and just watch an
Right.
opening drive.
Everything felt
Oh
different.
my God, it was a thing of beauty. Go back and watch an opening drive, and go back and watch the way they utilize both running backs. Oh my goodness, man.
Well, don't go
Oh,
back and watch it if you're still emotional about the loss, because if it is, it's
oh
gonna make
yeah,
you
oh
even worse.
yeah.
It's gonna hurt you to see what we used to be to when we ended up. So, but if you go back in those early games, man, it's just like that Patriots game. That Patriots
Yeah,
game is the one. Like, go back
yeah,
and watch. That's the game where I was like, all right,
yeah,
this is the year, you know. You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I'm
This
saying?
the year.
I was Stone Cold Steve Austin Kool-Aid at that point after that Patriots game. And
Yeah,
God
and
dang it.
and here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Robert Wallace, shout out to you. He says Pollard can block. I'm not saying that he can't. What's his name? What was his name? The guy that stole the colognes and the draws.
Joseph Randall.
Joseph Randall. Joseph Randall can block. He was a different caliber. He blocked and he goes look for the ball. He can catch out of the backfield. Joseph Randall, look, if Joseph Randall, he can do a lot of things. If Joseph Randall had a good mind, a good head,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, on his head and shoulders, he would have been a good, decent running back for the Cowboys. He just didn't have it all.
Yeah,
Still in doggone draws and cologne.
yeah. So I play football with his brothers, like both of his brothers in college and also high school. So he comes from an extremely talented family. Like there's even more coming through the Randalls, but they all just had them issues, man. But
can't get right.
It's unfortunate. Can't get right, man. But hey, my guy Law, I appreciate you for coming on, blessing us with your wisdom, your knowledge, man. So like I said, this is my first show back this week. It is what it is. Cowboys Nation. I'm not over it, you know what I'm saying? Because I think kind of watching the games re-triggered me, yesterday. But it's time to move forward. It's time to lick our wounds and get back to work and put this team back together. But we gonna do our best as content creators. I know this man right here is gonna do his best. I'm gonna do my best, and we're gonna get this thing solved, because ultimately we try to get 6. So for the people who live under the rock, do not know where to find you, go ahead and let them know.
Oh, my goodness, man. Find me at Law Nation Sports, man. Type it in onto your Google and you'll see me. I'm on multiple platforms, by the way. Facebook, we're live now on Facebook. Appreciate those people that's there. Instagram, TikTok, as well as Twitter. And, of course, I got 2 YouTube pages under that same handle. Law Nation Sports, man. And I really appreciate you, Jay Tuck, for your wisdom and your understanding of the game. And I just want people to understand that we hold high regards to our guys, man, on the field and off the field. They reach out to us, man, not individually, but some of them do, whether it be a family member or what have you. So we want all what's well with Tad Prescott and Dez Bryant. We're not picking sides or anything.
Right.
All I'm saying is that, from my perspective, is that, hey, measure twice, cut once. If it's a battle between current players versus ex-players and family members, just try to look. Here's the thing I tell people that even work for the government: it's big, but it's small. Some of the things, some of the people that you think that you don't know, they know you. And some of the things, just because you in Dallas land and you think everything is so big, no, it's this world is small. It's big, but it's small. So guard your words, man. Guard your passion, and don't be afraid to tell people, hey, man, I apologize, I'm wrong. That's just my thoughts of everything, bro.
Yeah, and another learning lesson, because if you go back and really watch what happened, Dez sent a tweet. It was a fan in the middle with 12 followers that tagged Tad and caused this whole massive chaos online. And so, you just got to be careful, because not everybody wants good. Some people just want things to burn so they can get a show, So, it's just how social media is. I feel like both could have probably handled it different. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's 2 grown men going back and forth on Twitter. I don't think anything's going to come out of it. But still, it's just a bad look, because we're going through so much right now, Cowboys. And we're only a week deep in it. We got a long off season, y'all. So, I'd say Cowboys Nation, watch the hips, not the balls. It's going to be a lot of clickbait. We're going to have some random Devontae Adams wear a Cowboys hoodie, to get more leverage and free. Like, you're going to have all that weird stuff when it comes to this team. But just focus on the real content and focus on football and getting things back. Because like I said, the ultimate goal is to win that 6th championship. And for those who are seeing me for the first time, of course, Jay Tuck, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, JTuck151. Support the channel, Cowboys fans only. Comment, like, subscribe. I appreciate all the support. And of course, cowboysfansonly.com to get your official CFO merch. We're gonna drop draft content. I got draft content loaded tomorrow.
Woo.
So we're gonna come out. I know I gotta do Florida State first. First. So just to set things off. But after that, it's just bing, bang, bong. Draft content. We gotta get ready for Vegas. So you gonna be out there in Vegas. You come out to Vegas with us, Lyle?
Man, Vegas. Hey, I got some sponsorship deals that we brewing up, man. So I may be out there in Vegas.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, Viva.
Are you going out there to a Senior Bowl next? Senior Bowl.
Not the Senior Bowl. Not the Senior Bowl, but we're gonna be watching the Senior Bowl live. But I'm gonna be for the Senior Bowl, because I know they're also having the HBCU combine as well. That I know a few people are trying to go to. But now I'm saving. Like I said, I travel to Oxnard, Tampa, everywhere, man. I'm not doing no more sporting events for a while. I'm spending time home with the family, sitting at the crib, but definitely for the draft, I'll be out there.
Man. But shout out to your TikTok, man. It's underrated, man. Your TikTok go hard, fam.
Appreciate my TikTok, fam. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still learning the TikTok thing, man. But I got Cowboys Nation riding with me strong on TikTok. So I appreciate everyone. Like I said, Cowboys Nation, stay grounded. But I want everyone, first and foremost, to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and go Cowboys. Peace.